mainly say that to help reach this message to the Honorable Prime Minister and also to the world about adopting climate friendly, simpler lifestyles. Now, in my message to the world, I didn't succeed because I couldn't go up to the Khardungla to, punish myself more so that I draw the attention of the New Yorks and Parises and Beijings and, the big cities of the world. The glaciers here are not just for Ladakh. Half of the Indian population depends on glaciers of the Himalayas. So, for everybody's sake, we should not give it up for short term gains from mining and industries. The number one agenda in the election manifesto in Ladakh, one at the prestigious Hill Council elections in 2020 and the parliament elections in 2019. So, sitting on top of the agenda, we can't believe that they are not interested in talking about it anymore.
Hi, you're watching Hindustan Times. We are joined today by environmentalist and Magsaysay Award winner Sonam Wangchuk. Now, Mr. Wangchuk has just completed his 5-day climate fast in Ladakh on January 31st. Hundreds of people had gathered at Leh's iconic polo ground to fast in solidarity with him. Now, his effort was to draw the attention of Indian leaders to Ladakh's fragile economy, and counting by the amount of support he received, Mr. Wangchuk did succeed. Uh, Welcome to the show, Mr. Wangchuk. It was freezing, I believe, at minus 20 degrees. What prompted your 5-day fast? And then I'm going to come to your assessment of whether the fast was a success or not.
What prompted? Well, I've always been worried, concerned about the ecology of these mountains that are home to so many glaciers, which we depend on, and not only us, the entire North India depends on. And I've been working with solutions, not just crying, for the last 30 years, whether it is solar heated mud houses or artificial glaciers, sustainable tourism. I've been working to make it, cleaner and greener here. And the biggest thing to happen was Ladakh becoming a UT. So I was, on one hand, very happy and also concerned because it might just become open to all kinds of industries and mining and become a play field which this environment cannot handle. So I've always been concerned. But the solace we could draw from at that time was that Ladakh, being a region with 95% tribal population, indigenous population, will get its safeguards from the Schedule 6 of the Article 244 Indian Constitution. And sure enough, the leaders at the center assured that Ladakh will be included. Various ministries, law ministry, home ministry, tribal ministry, all had recommended Ladakh. And the government had also made a promise through its election manifesto. So all was great. But then 3 years have gone and nothing was happening. So I felt very concerned, together with all the people who were protesting and reminding the government. Our leaders were trying their best, and but it was taking forever. 3 years have gone. And at that point, I thought it should not be left to, others will take care. Each one has to do their bit. And my bit was to make this message reach the highest, uh, echelons of power in our country, because I believed that it was just stuck somewhere low in the bureaucracy and maybe not being heard up there, because leaders who could give Ladakh its UT would definitely not mind giving what is even more due in the constitution. So that's how I happened to mainly say that to help reach this message to the Honorable Prime Minister and also to the world about adopting climate friendly, simpler lifestyles. With these two agendas, I started my fast.
You spoke about Schedule 6 and you spoke about the Prime Minister in your answer, and I'm going to come to both of them in just a bit. But first, I want to ask you, when you went on the fast, you must have decided on some metrics of its success or failure. Do you believe you achieved that objective, and why do you believe so?
Huh. My initial agenda was to let the world, the especially the people in the big cities who are living life as if there is no tomorrow, they are just blowing up the planet. So I, on one hand, wanted to reach out to them to appeal from the mountains where the glaciers are melting, and that's why I went up to the glaciers to say, please live simply so that we in the mountains may simply live. That was one message. The other message was for the Prime Minister to consider Ladakh safeguards. Now, in my message to the world, I didn't succeed because I couldn't go up to the Khardungla to, punish myself more so that I draw the attention of the New Yorks and Parises and Beijings and, the big cities of the world, because I couldn't go there. But then for the local people who are struggling to get their message out to the rest of the country and the government, yes, it was a mind blowing, overwhelming support, both from the nation, with all the media and people, little children doing their fast in their own places in Himachal Pradesh, in Uttaranchal, in Kerala, in Assam. It was touching and overwhelming. And in Ladakh, where all regions, all religions, all political parties got kind of gravitated around this call for safeguards to Ladakh under the sixth schedule. So that way it was on my metrics, it overshot all the meters
Okay.
locally. Yes.
All right. So you got tremendous. You're talking about local support. You got tremendous support from fellow Ladakhis. What does that support mean for you? How do you feel today?
No, actually, it's more than support for me. It's the cause, that they were
Yes.
already
Sorry.
struggling with. It was more to express my support to them than the other way. And yes, so people took it more seriously and came out in very cold, cloudy, polar day, not in their hundreds, as you said. Some 10,000 people, I think, were there. And senior politicians who have always been holding rallies there tell us that they have never seen such a gathering in their lives. And that in a winter day when half of Leh is out in other cities in India, and and a city of some 20,000 people, like 10,000 people roughly, were there. So this shows how much they feel for the safeguard of the place.
How did it make you feel? Did you see hope? Did you see hope with their presence
Yes.
there?
Definitely, I felt that as I thought it was something that all the people in Ladakh wanted heard. It reassured me that yes, everyone from children to elderly, all of them were very concerned, very serious about it. And I was amazed at the number of people in Ladakh and outside Ladakh. I had never thought so many people would do their own fasts on the days we did it. Some were doing in on snowy mountains in Ladakh, others were in Himachal Pradesh, which was also very cold. So they braved all kinds of challenges to express their solidarity with the people of Ladakh.
So 3 years ago, when Ladakh got independence, sorry, when the Article 370 was removed, you and many Ladakhis were very happy with that move. 3 years down the line, there seems to be a lot of desperateness and disappointment. There. If Prime Minister Modi was sitting across the table for you, what would be the three things that you would tell him today?
Well, we were very happy. So, first of all, gratitude that he facilitated Ladakh becoming a UT unto itself. That was something we had stopped believing by that time, over 70 years of demand. So, that happening was and will always be the greatest thing. Secondly, it was assumed that what is impossible is happening. The possible will be done immediately. The possible was that safeguards under sixth schedule, that was a no brainer, because 50% tribal population qualifies it, and we are 95% indigenous people here. So I would say that you have done what was unthinkable. Now please do what was always considered as a thing done. And yes, basically that. And thirdly, I would thank him for mobilizing the world around climate, declaring Ladakh a carbon neutral region, and launching movements like the life movement, lifestyles for the environment, which we fully support, to make this planet a better place, because we are at the forefront bearing the brunt of climate change. So any such actions, I would be very grateful.
You know, those are the, two out of those three things were where you'd like to thank him, but the sixth schedule is one thing that you're saying is a
Yeah.
sticking point still. Why is the sixth schedule, adhering to the sixth schedule, so important for Ladakhis?
Well, firstly, it ensures safeguard of the region as a tribal area. It's called scheduled area. And the people and the culture that has fine tuned itself over thousands of years to this land of harshness and scarcities. So, to protect that culture, the people, and the environment is utmost important. So, therefore, we believe that the people who were making the Indian constitution were also aware. In fact, I think it is one of the most magnanimous, generous constitutions of the world, which does not only tolerate diversity but actually encourages and protects diversity in the form of articles like Article 244. So, therefore, I would say this is something that Ladakh deserves, merits, and in everybody's interest, because the glaciers here are not just for Ladakh. Half of the Indian population depends on glaciers of the Himalayas. So, for everybody's sake, we should not give it up for short term gains from mining and industries.
All right. Why do you think that sixth schedule hasn't been implemented so far, despite all the promises that came your way? Who would you want to blame for this?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a total mystery. Uh, apart from assurances from various levels of government in the center, it was the number one agenda in the election manifesto in Ladakh, one at the prestigious Hill Council elections in 2020 and the parliament elections in 2019. So, sitting on top of the agenda, we can't believe that they are not interested in talking about it anymore. The only explanations some Ladakhi people can think of is that in between and lower down in the bureaucracy, some industrial interests crept in who do not want Ladakh to be safeguarded from their clutches or exploitative mining and
Okay.
industries. So they are doing their best to stop such protection to Ladakh. Now, in such situations, we have to do our best to let our voice be heard, because if we are quiet, then those voices will prevail. And in democracy, you say even a mother doesn't feed her baby unless the baby cries and says that she is hungry. So it's our duty to make our loudest voices heard, that we have a pain and we see these safeguards very important.
All right. I've heard you often, and I hear you, and I completely get where you're coming from. Would you like to tell our viewers why saving Ladakh is critical for India and the world?
So for two reasons. First, material. you know so much of the water security of the subcontinent depends on glaciers and the ecology of such high mountains. So it is in everybody's interest. Us today, but you tomorrow will face problems. So that's why. Secondly, indigenous people and their lifestyles and their knowledge systems, indigenous knowledge systems, are now preserved by these indigenous people, tribal people in the mountains, in the forests, along the rivers. So this is what the world needs to learn. When we say we want to make India a Vishwa Guru, I don't think we can become a Vishwa Guru with what happens in Mumbai and Delhi. The world will not, die to come and learn from Delhi and Mumbai, but the world will be on their knees to learn from the simplicity of life and the contentment with minimal resources that is displayed by these indigenous people in the mountains. So this is a learning resource, a treasure for the nation and for the world to learn how to live in peace with nature now that the planet is blowing up in smoke. You want to have such resources kept alive rather than for just short term commercial interest blow them up, and there's nothing we know except for post industrial revolution lifestyles. This is what is true India. This is what is, um, since time immemorial, the lives of people here is what could be a learning, a light for the rest of the world also.
All right. So thank you so much for speaking to us. It's always a pleasure listening to you. And I hope we are able to see you on our shows again. And we'd love to have you over on our channel more often, and to sort of, because now that the climate crisis has become such a clear and present danger. I mean, I'm saying now, and that itself must be sounding like a folly to you, because you've been speaking about it for the longest time. So we'd love to hear more from you. I mean, love to take your ideas to the leaders of India and the world, as you were saying that you wanted to reach out to them. And we'd love to hear from you again. Thank you for speaking to us right now.
Thank you very much for doing your bit.